Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am Karen Curry Parker, and I want to welcome you to Tuesday's presentation here in the Quantum Human Design Coach Forum. On Tuesdays, we've been talking about structuring your coaching practice. So I want to continue today our dialogue about how to make sure that your practice is structured in such a way that it conserves and preserves your energy, your sustainability, so that you don't overwork and hustle and burn yourself out, and also structure it in such a way that you are creating for yourself the revenue stream that helps you be sustainable with your coaching practice. Now, before we get started in talking about structuring your coaching practice today, I want to start today with a couple of announcements. Actually, it's just one big announcement, and it's something that I shared with you yesterday, but I'm just really excited again to remind you that we have, starting on Monday, in this Facebook group, a 7-day Quantum Human Design Coaching Challenge. In this coaching challenge, we're going to be exploring how to implement quantum human design as part of your coaching practice. So we're going to be talking about, oh, hang on a second, don't go away. I have a list. I have a list, and I get so excited that sometimes I forget what I wrote down and I start adding things to it, and then my team, Cindy, Betsy, Kristen, Jamie, then they get mad at me because then I've given them stuff that they didn't know they were supposed to be doing. So, okay, so we're going to talk Monday of next week about why is alignment so important? Why is it so essential that we coach our clients into creating an authentic life? What does that give them? What is the science behind that? And how does that actually help them create more wealth, more abundance, more authentic living in their life in a way that allows them to really do what they came here to do? Number two, on day 2, on Tuesday next week, we're going to talk about why our clients get stuck, and how you can use the chart to begin to really explore where is your client more vulnerable to getting stuck and what can you do to help them get unstuck. On day 3 next week, we're going to explore how to integrate quantum human design into the coaching model that you're trained to use, or we're going to also explore the coaching model that I use in greater depth than we've talked about in here, so that you can really see how do you apply quantum human design as a coaching tool. On Thursday of next week, we're going to be talking about all the different parts of the chart and how, when you really understand how to interpret the chart through the lens of motivation and drive, and this isn't, by the way, that whole right and left, quad right, quad left, whatever, the left thing that we talk about in traditional human design. This is about knowing how to really go depth into a specific chart. It's not a system. It's looking at a specific chart and really understanding and being able to tease out what motivates your client, what gives your client drive, what's the way that you can support your client in crafting a bigger dream, a bigger vision, so that even when they hit those speed bumps in life, and we all do, they're able to draw into that bigger picture, that bigger drive of who they are, and really use that as the fuel to keep themselves going. We're going to have some open Q&A sessions. We're going to have some live laser hot seat coaching. So you yourself, if you have a question about your coaching business or your practice or yourself, you can come and get in the hot seat and I'll coach you. Then on Monday of the following week, I'm actually going to have for you a bonus session. And in that bonus session, I'll tell you, it's kind of, I wasn't going to announce this, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about quantum human design, integrity, and leadership, and how you can assume leadership in your own practice, and how you can actually coach people into assuming greater leadership roles. So Cindy's going to post the registration link, the opt-in link for the challenge below. At the end of the week, you're going to get a workbook that goes along with it so you can follow along during the course of the week. The classes will be at the same time every day. We'll be meeting at noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific. That's in American time zones. If you don't live in America, please calculate that in accordance to wherever it is you live. They will be recorded. However, the replays are only going to be available for a limited amount of time. So If you don't get to watch them live during the week, that's great, but the replays will only be up until May 28th. So please be sure to watch the replays so that you can get the full benefit of the challenge. So that's my big announcement for today. Again, I shared that with you a little bit last week. Let's talk now about structuring your coaching practice. So I want to just review what we've done, because what I have really given you over the last few weeks is truly what I would say is the keys to the kingdom of building a coaching practice in the way that works for you. It took me years to figure out this formula, and when I really got how to use this formula, it really has supported me in being able to make sure that my practice, my coaching practice, my teaching practice is structured in such a way that it sustains me in every way, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, which is huge. And I don't talk about this a lot, but I want to be really clear with you guys. Learning how to be profitable, which is the same thing as being sustainable, by the way. If you're not financially sustained by your business, you can't be sustainable in your business, because you're going to be making reactive choices based on money or based on needing to do some kind of band-aid strategy to ensure the financial flow. That's going to really change the nature of you being able to consciously construct a growing, thriving practice that you could potentially at some point, if you choose to, scale up if you want to. I never had a job in corporate America or in a corporation. I've never had a job where I had a cubicle. I am technically unemployable. I actually had one job. Well, I worked for Human Design America. I'll say that was a job, but that one didn't feel like a job. But prior to that, I had one job, and that job was working as a nurse in a hospital. And that lasted about 6 months. I don't like taking orders from other people. I don't like not being in charge of my work time. And it made it really difficult for me to be normal, as my parents would say. My parents used to tell me all the time, why can't you just be normal? So now I understand why. When I had children, and I had children really young, I had my first child, my oldest son, when I was 23. When I had children and I looked at my children, I really just sort of made an internal commitment to myself that I would never compromise who I am and what I do, because I wanted them to see their mother doing the work she loved. I wanted them to see, what does it look like when you follow your passion and you use that passion as your life, your canvas for your life. I didn't ever want them to get the message, through my actions and through my modeling, that it wasn't possible to live true to your authentic life and have work that is a representation of your authentic life. So I always did my calling, always. And I always was very lucky to, and I think this is luck and life path. And this is not any of you who are still maybe thinking about, well, what am I here to do? I don't know what my life purpose is. That's your journey. And this isn't about my journey versus your journey. My journey, I knew from the time that I was 4 years old, literally, I came here to teach love. I had an imaginary friend named Thomas who used to ride in the backseat of my mom's car with me, and he used to tell me, your job is to teach love. And so I was very lucky in that I always knew what my life purpose was from the very, very start. The part that was hard was trying to figure out how to make that into a business. And I'll tell you, I sucked at it for a lot of years. And sort of in the middle of those years, I got divorced. I had full-time custody and financial support for my 4 children. I didn't have a choice. And this to me is like the ultimate blessing of my divorce, and sort of I think the beautiful soul contract my ex-husband and I had was, in the journey of our divorce and me getting full-time custody, full-time financial support of the kids, I didn't have an option to fail. And I think that was huge and really beautiful. Now I was kind of bitter about it at a certain point, but now I'm like, whoa, I see the genius of having these kids land in my lap and all this financial support landing in my lap. It never made it possible for me to fail, because if I had gotten a job, I never would have made what I was making as a coach. And it wasn't easy. And over the course of that journey, I lost a house to foreclosure. I've had, every month for years was trying to figure out, okay, who gets paid this month? I spent a lot of years, learning how to dodge the repo man because I was always on the edge with my car payment. I had to figure out how to put my kids through college. There were some pivotal things that happened, pivotal internal shifts that ultimately led to external shifts. When I published my very first human design book, Understanding Human Design, things began to shift quite beautifully. And from that point on, there was a huge ascension curve in my coaching practice. But I'm only sharing this with you because I want you to know I flopped around a lot of years trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I make this work? And I figured out this formula that I've shared with you and sort of used it as my template, my guiding star, if you will, to how I structured my coaching practice. Because for me at that time especially, I had to figure out, how do I do this and still be off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon so that when the kids come home from school and they either need a ride, because they needed a lot of rides in those days, or they needed somebody to sit with them and help them figure out homework, and they needed somebody to fix them a homemade meal, so we had meal time every day. How do I structure my business so that I'm done at 3 o'clock in the afternoon so that I can, if I need to, work a little bit later in the evening when they're sort of heading towards bed? And how do I do it in such a way that I get able to feed them and put them through college? That was a big, big question that weighed on me a lot. And figuring out, okay, what do I need to make? And then what do I want to make? And what would I love to make? Really doing the numbers and the metrics helped me really target where I was going. Putting in ahead of time my schedule. When I looked at my year, putting in my schedule, blocking my time off, which, by the way, that was probably the weakest point in my evolution of my coaching practice. I realized at a certain point, probably about 5 years ago, that I only took Thanksgiving and Christmas Day off. That was not working for me anymore. So I had to get really serious as a manifesting generator type that time off thing needed to get better. Okay, so I had to really train myself to take 1 day off, and now I'm still training myself to take 2 days off, which I'm not good at because I love my job, but so it's a little bit different. But I had to learn to put in the days off, right? Put the holidays off first, then structure the work time, and include in that structure the marketing time, the creative time, and then look at what time I had left over and look at that time in the context of how much I needed to make a week. That's what we've been discussing in here on Tuesdays. And if you have missed those videos, please go back and watch those videos. Cindy's going to post for you below what the hashtag is to find those videos. So you may, if you want to go back and look at how do you calculate the formula for what you need to make per hour in your practice and how many hours you want to be working, go back and watch those Tuesday videos, because in that particular unit for the last few weeks, I've been walking you through step by step this process of how do you construct a measurement, a way to measure how much time you need to work, or you want to work, and how much you need to be charging per hour. The final thing that I want to share with you is, now that you know your time off, now that you know your need, your want, and your push out of your comfort zone with your income, now that you know how much creative / marketing time you need, now that you know what you want to make per week, now you get to engineer it however you choose. And this is the part where I really want to encourage you to, first of all, embrace the idea that there's no formula for this one. This part is your part. You get to decide how you want to deliver your services to meet those financial goals on a weekly basis. So you get to decide for yourself, do you want to work one-on-one with clients? And if you want to work one-on-one with clients, then you need to really be sure that you're factoring in to your calculations how much you're going to be charging per hour, and also factoring in off time between clients. You need at least 15 minutes between clients, and making sure that if you're structuring your practice that way, you've got the time and timing set up, and you have clear numbers about, okay, I need X amount of clients, and therefore I need to be charging X amount of dollars per hour in order to meet my weekly income goal. I am a big fan, especially if you're planning on scaling your business, in looking at how can you leverage the information you have. Okay, sorry I got cut off. I have been battling the Wi-Fi in my house for about 3 weeks now. So I do just want to say, this is a great example of being adaptable and pivoting in your business. Always be ready with at least 12 contingency plans for what happens if the Wi-Fi goes down. All right, so here's what I ended up with saying: how can you better leverage your time and your impact? So once you know how much you want to earn per week, now you get to decide how are you going to leverage yourself, your knowledge, your wisdom. If you don't like doing one-on-one sessions, or if you start to do the math and you realize, hey, for me to get from what I need financially to what I'd love to have financially, I'm going to either need to charge more per hour, nothing wrong with that, or I'm going to need to have more clients, nothing wrong with that, but inevitably, unless you're willing to keep upping your price, you're going to hit a cap on that. You're going to hit a cap that says, I can only do so many sessions per week, and I'm going to have to start charging, an amount of money that maybe you don't feel comfortable charging if you continue to work one-on-one. Again, it's all about you. You get to decide. It's your business, and you get to decide if you want to try it, and if you like changing it, you get to go back to doing it how you want. You get to adjust it to whatever season you're in. It's your business. You get to decide how you want to construct it. And that being said, if your intention is to increase your impact, to really leverage your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, your education, then I also want to encourage you to think about, what if you structure your business to where you're working one-to-many? Maybe you add group coaching to your repertoire. Maybe you add classes and courses and trainings. It's up to you. You get to decide, but you've got to be looking at, now that you have that weekly number, now you start to look at, okay, if I want to teach a class and I want to make, let's say $2,500 for a class, how many people do I need to have in this class to make the numbers work? And of course, once you know how many people you need to have in that class to make the numbers work, now you also know how many people do I need to reach with my marketing, because marketing is really literally just a numbers game. You are probably going to convert 1% to 2% of the people you have impact with. So if you say you want 25 people in a class, that means if that 25 is, okay, now I have to do math. If that 25 is 1% of the people who you've been telling about the class, people you've been marketing the class to, okay, Cindy, help me remember this is right. That means you have to impact, your marketing has to reach 2,500 people. Okay, so the numbers game. If I'm going to get 25 people in a class, I need to have marketing that reaches 2,500 people. And that's going to be social media, email, snail mail, doing a bunch of talks, doing a webinar, doing a telesummit. There's lots of different ways you can reach that many people. But you got to know your numbers, because when you know your numbers, then you can start making an actionable plan. You can start constructing your business that way. So I really want to encourage you, again, if you haven't done the formula, go find the formula, go do the formula, figure out what's your weekly income, and then start looking at, how do you want to hit that number? How do you want to tap into completing the fulfillment of that goal? Are you going to do it one-on-one? Are you going to do it in group coaching? Are you going to pre-record lessons and sell an evergreen class that's pre-recorded, and then maybe do a live Q&A class once a month? There are a lot of really creative ways that you can conserve energy and impact many, many people. And I really want us to buy into the idea that, especially if you are a person with an open sacral, an undefined sacral, that you can create the revenue stream that fulfills the needs of your business without the hustle, without filling up every hour of the day with work. And the more you start to think of yourself as a resource for your clients, and that resource isn't just one-on-one delivery of services, but you sharing everything that is you with your clients, potentially, your knowledge, your wisdom, and you start to think about the streams through which you can use this expression that is you. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's recorded classes, maybe it's auditory classes, maybe it's, who knows? There's always something new. This is the thing I want you to really get. After being in this business now for almost 30 years, there's always something new, some new way of delivering it, some new way of tweaking it, some new way of bringing it to people. You know, you can send people text messages now that lead to videos. You can do videos, you can do Facebook Lives, you can make videos with workbooks, you can teach live, you can teach on Zoom, there's so many different ways that you can deliver your brilliance, and you get to craft it however you want. So I want you to really, this kind of goes back to the very, very beginning when we first started talking about this 4 weeks ago. Somebody asked, how should I structure my practice? How many sessions should I do? It's up to you. It's completely and totally up to you. And so as you sort of tweak and play and sit with those numbers that you've crafted last week, that weekly income that you need to have. And by the way, you can reframe it. If you're going to teach a 4-week class, think of it as a monthly income. That's going to help you calculate, okay, if I teach a class one hour a week for 4 weeks and it's a monthly class, how much money does that need to make, right? That's the whole month's income, potentially. So think about it that way. And again, start engineering your numbers that way. When you understand the numbers and you start to think about yourself as a resource and your energy as a resource, then you can start to really think about structuring your practice in such a way that it stays a source of joy for you, that it stays a source of sustenance for you, that it continues to be the source of support that you need in order for you to be able to take care of yourself so that you can be sustainable and do the work you came here to do. That's it. We will next week, when we do our Q&A sessions and our hot seat coaching sessions, if you've got questions or you have some explorations you'd like to work with me personally, think about it. Think about your questions. We can certainly in our hot seats talk about how do we structure your practice so that it sustains your energy and your enthusiasm and your joy and brings you in the income you need to bring. So join me next week again for the 7-day Quantum Human Design Coach Challenge. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Tomorrow we'll be talking more about marketing by design. So join us back here tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Central. We'll talk about marketing by design, and take good care of yourselves, you guys. Be well. See you tomorrow. Bye.